the... where's the frame? I get my...
What does it have to be?
Oh,
This way? It might have to be this way. I'm not sure. Just do it this way. Okay. So. Hey, we're live. We'll be with you in just a second. We're just getting everything finally set up. It's live. Is it live? Does it say live?
It does say live.
Jim? You just show the model.
Yeah. Hello everybody, we're not sure if this is live yet or not, but a couple of technical difficulties setting up. You don't have to film me, film the terrain, but yeah, if you're with us already, then just bear with us while we fix out a technical glitch, and we'll be able to answer any questions. Yeah, right now we're just getting a view of some of the main offerings of... Oh, we have someone with us. Hello.
Yeah, it's live.
Okay, good. We're live? Okay, yeah. Excellent. Yeah. Good. Okay, so welcome. Those of you who are with us, we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about the Torbridge Cull Kickstarter. And if you have any questions, please just post them. We're happy to answer. We've set up a board here with the core set buildings from our Torbridge Cull Kickstarter, which is, of course, the inn, the Last Hearth Inn. There's 3 buildings in the inn, and then in the back you can see the Torbridge itself. We've printed one that's fairly long. Of course, you can print as many sections as you want to make it as long or short as you want. And then in the foreground here, there's the fighting pits of Torbridge Cull fighting pits. Which is a third offering in the core set buildings. Of course, there's much more to the Kickstarter than just the core set buildings, but that is what comes with any of the tiers, bronze, silver, or gold tier. You get the core set, plus whatever stretch goals are unlocked for your tier. So there's a bunch of other stuff on the table here that is from our previous Kickstarter, Whitewood Abbey, and that stuff is available in the add-ons on the Kickstarter page, Torbridge Cull Kickstarter. So if you see anything that catches your attention, be sure to check out the add-ons in the Kickstarter. And we have pretty much everything we've made for offer in the Torbridge Cull Kickstarter, so it is a chance to pick up anything you missed previously for the lowest price it's ever been since the Kickstarter, and probably the lowest price it'll be for a while. Say, Dal, how we doing?
Hey, how's it going, guys? Hey. So we're just trying to set this up and figure out how to do it all, but I've got your questions coming up here, so I'll try to answer them as they come up. We have a first question here. Junk Koroba, you say release in May 2021 or as soon as the Kickstarter is over? So I'll try to answer. You can take this off. Try to answer your question about that. So basically, as soon as the Kickstarter is over, we're going to release, of course, all the add-on stuff from Whitewood Abbey that's already finished. And then as soon as we have stuff ready, we'll start releasing it on a rolling schedule. So the closest things to being finished are the inn and the bridge. So they probably need a few weeks work to like finalize, do some last print testing and stuff like that. So I think we're looking probably like the beginning of 2021 for the releasing those pieces. And then after that will be the fighting pits, which that one's the one that still needs the most work on. Not that much, but it'll need a couple weeks work on it. And then after that, we jump right into the stretch goals, and they'll be released as soon as each one's beta tested and finished.
John Karoba, you're asking again about how many kilos of PLA. Well, a lot of that depends on your settings because depending on how much infill you use and how many wall settings you use. But for instance, a building like the inn, the main building of the inn here, probably looking at probably a kilo. I don't know, did we weighed that in before? It's at least
About a kilo, I think.
yeah, of filament probably for the main building of the inn. That's, you know, with about 20% infill, 3 walls, so that can be brought down. But the larger buildings certainly are gonna cost you some filament. There's no joke about that. But there's lots of offerings in the Kickstarter that are smaller. So if you want to reserve printing the big stuff for, you know, when you on a rainy day when you have more filament, and then the other stuff can be printed for much less, of course. Let's take a look at the inn actually, Kier. If you want to come over here, let's look at the 3 buildings in the inn. So I'm just going to lay these out in front of you. So we've got the core set mostly modeled. We have 3 buildings in the inn. That's what comes with it initially. The first building here is where's the front of it? There it is the main inn. And now we showed this off in one of our featurettes, but for those of you who missed that, we'll give you another little flyby here. So the main inn is 5 stories high. The top story here, everything has been modeled for like scaled for 1-inch miniatures. And all our models, everything from Whitewood Abbey and Torbridge Cull minis, can always fit through the doorways. There's lots of interior play space to move around and set things up. Doors open and close. And so the top floor, you have the suite up here. This is one of the sort of penthouse suite of the inn. And then there's a secret room through this fireplace that opens up to a back room here that you could have some encounter waiting behind the secret room, or find treasure in there, what have you. We go down 1 layer to the 4th floor, and here we have sort of a standard layout of our inn. Again, all the doors open and close. 3 or 4 rooms up there on the 2nd floor with a hallway. All the stairwells lead down to the next floor. This is our 3rd floor now. Again, it's all laid out for gameplay, lots of room to move your minis around. And then, of course, play goes in and out of the space itself. So sometimes in order for one of the characters to access an interior room of the inn, they may be coming up through the outside. We thought we'd add that in to make a more dynamic play set. Going down 1 more, then we have the balcony room for the inn. Lots of room on this balcony to fight and move around. Of course, the stairwell leads down to the main floor of the inn, which is the tavern. And the tavern, we've had some requests about this central circle to maybe be replaceable with something else. We're going to look into that. Maybe even a well for those of you who are familiar with a certain D&D setting. Again, there's all the inn furniture and tavern furniture will be modeled as one of the first stretch goals. So we have a bar, we have tables, we have chairs, we have all the stuff you'd expect to find in there. Front comes off for a different front. All the doors will be in the final version. And then if this is an add-on piece to make the inn a building on its own. Darryl, how are we doing? Do we have particular questions coming up? Or
Yeah, there's some questions.
Just
keep explaining that.
Yeah. So I'm just going to put this back together for a second. I'm going to show you what's sort of particularly neat about this building here. You see. Thank you. So it works on its own as a building. I've got a bad angle here. It's hard for me to see. But let's just set this up, and then you'll see what I'm talking about. And again, these are our betas, so there's still some more design work to be done on these, but they're mostly finished. So the inn works on its own as a standalone building. This is basically the last Hearth Inn, just standalone. And then what you can do is you take off this section here and you add on the adjunct. Now the adjunct fits right to the side of the main inn here to make a larger inn. and it connects right onto it. And then you've got all the rooms in the adjunct. So these are unpainted rooms, so please excuse their appearance. But these rooms also open up. I need a couple minis to get a sense of scale here. Just take this guy for now, but really I should have a few more. So as you can see, even in this room, there's plenty of room to move around and play. And then the next level down, an adjunct, you've got even more rooms down there. And in this room, I don't know if you can see over here, Kier, but there's a door that leads back into the main room, so there's play through the adjunct into the main inn. Go one level down. Now this is kind of like your meeting room for your adventurers to plan their assault on the dragon or whatever, and we're going to put some large table in there and really deck that room out. It's got its own fireplace and everything. So it works with the adjunct. And then, I'll just put this back on here. Hold on a second. I'll get it backwards. Right down? No, it goes that way. And then you have the annex. So the annex is this very large building here. And the annex fits on to the side of the adjunct, like this. And there's a little causeway that connects the two of them, which I forgot to put on. Which I can put on here. I don't know, probably a bad angle for you there. But there's a causeway that fits on there. And then it connects it to the annex. Okay, I don't know if you can get around the other side, but you begin to see what the courtyard of the Last Hearth Inn is. So this is the start of what will become the courtyard of the Last Hearth Inn. Once we have the kitchens and the stables, or the coach house and the innkeeper's house, will form an entire courtyard in the center here. We'll just give you a quick look of inside of the...
Hey, James, before we jump in there, let's answer a few questions.
Sure.
Sorry, I've written them down. Well, I'll need you here to help answer them, but I've written some of them down. So I don't have your name, sorry, right at the moment, but someone was asking how many pieces does one level come in when you're printing? The general answer for like the two larger buildings would be, at least for the lower floors, would be 4 pieces per level. For the smaller building, it's 2 pieces per level.
And those pieces are, I don't know if the person who's asking has any access to our Whitewood Abbey files, but everything has guides to fit together and glue together perfectly. So there's not a lot of messing around and worrying if you got it set up right. You just put the glue on, match the guides, push it together, and it's pretty much a perfect fit every time.
Yeah, and that's of course it's 2 main pieces. Things like the fog of war covers, obviously you have to print separately. Doors you print separately, that kind of thing. We're trying to standardize the doors as much as possible so that, because this thing has a lot of doors in it. So we're trying to have as few types of doors as possible so that you don't have to print one and find per doorway, and that would take forever to find them. And if you misplaced one, you'd get totally confused. So we're trying to standardize it as much as possible. Someone was asking if it works with Freebooter Fate. Do you know that game, James?
Yeah, I'm not sure the scale of Freebooter Fate, but basically all our models come scaled for 28mm. But we've had people, in fact, one of them is with us, is the cameraman right now, who printed the entire Whitewood Abbey set at 108% to basically bring it up to 32mm. So, and we've had people make it larger than that. We've had people also scale it down, even down to 15mm. We got a little crazy last Kickstarter and printed stuff at 6mm. It did work, lost a lot of its detail, but it did work. But basically, Freebooter Fate, I don't know the scale, but you can easily print this stuff between 25 and 35mm with barely any change in the model, so it should work.
Jump back to the laptop.
While we're getting some more questions, I just kind of to finish off looking at the Last Hearth Inn. So Last Hearth Inn, this is the annex. We have some more detailing to go on the outside. There's some shacks that are going to go lean up on the bottom wall here in the final version. But roof comes off. You have an attic. You have some nice chains to lock up your prisoners on the end there. Attic comes off. You have, and again, these paint jobs are not completed. These are the startings of paint jobs. We didn't have enough time, unfortunately. But here, again, another 5 rooms or 4 rooms and a hallway. Take another layer off, and you've got another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rooms. And these rooms you can get access to off the balconies on the other side. This layer comes off. You've got another some tiny little rooms there for the cheap seats, people who don't pay much to stay at the inn. And then 2 larger rooms. and then that comes down. You have one large big hall. So we wanted to make this a multi-purpose hall, usable as like a large meeting room for, say, the Lord Knight and his forces to plan the defense of the town, or what have you.
That some of the later stretch goals for the casino furniture,
Right.
And stuff like that. Those are pieces that'll fit into this big hall. So it's kind of like an event hall. For
Yeah.
the inn.
So there's all kinds of stretch goals that we've laid out, which really fill out this set. The furniture sets, of course, obviously, but then we have some other stretch goals later on, which really build out the inn itself. Aside from just adding the kitchens and the stables and the manor's house, the innkeeper's house. So, unless we have any other questions, I think maybe what I'll do is I put that on backwards. I'll move over to, we have a question here. So Carr says, what is the height of the inn? What are the dimensions? Dow, you know the dimensions, don't you? I can get the tape measure out and actual height.
Right here.
Oh, there we go.
So, I'll measure it in a second, but basically you're going to get from here to about here. So this is with all three buildings combined. It's about 27 inches, and here again, from here to here is about 27 inches too. But we can just throw a little ruler in here just to measure some of the pieces. So, for example, like this one, now it sticks out about to here. So we're looking at about 13.5 inches. If we add on that shed that makes it a solo piece, we're looking at 15 to 16 inches total. Height-wise, there you go. It's pretty much exactly the same as my ruler, which is 15 inches high. That one might be a little taller. We'll see after James assembles it.
Yeah, after James figures out how to put it together.
Depth-wise, we're looking at about where is that? There we go. It's about 9 inches deep. Of course, the rooms inside are a bit smaller because the walls have thickness. And then the heights of the floors vary based on the floors. Like, the big floors in the ground floor are a bit taller, and then the bedroom floors are a bit shorter. So yeah, this one about the same height total. So it's about 15 inches high, maybe a little higher with the chimney. I mean, I don't know if any of you guys have seen our thatched longhouse or printed our thatched longhouse from the last set. It's one of the biggest pieces we have, and you can see in relation that it's actually a heck of a lot smaller than the inn. Other questions here? Are they going to be magnetized?
So while you're looking at that,
Can I answer that, Gene?
magnetized, because there's a question about are they going to be magnetized. So I think what that question might be asking is, are we going to model in recesses to place magnets? Because obviously we can't create something that's magnetized for an STL file. But we haven't done that in the past. It's a great question. And actually, Dow and I will talk that over. But a lot of these pieces don't need to be magnetized. There's no real purpose. They have pegs in them which hold each floor in place as you stack them up. So through all the playing we've done, anywhere we've ever brought these, we've never needed to have magnets on anything. We don't know why you would need magnets particularly, but I mean, we'll take that into account, and we'll if there's a specific reason why you think something might need to be magnetized, like write it into us, send us an email, and we'll definitely give it consideration.
Okay, yeah. Benjamin's asking how much space would the inn take up on a 4x4 table? Just so you know, this is a 3-foot table right here. Sorry, this is a little bit less than a 3-foot table. This is a 3-foot. This is 3 foot right here. So basically, you should be able to fit the entire inn. Now, if you add on, like here, we're going to have a little archway, which will probably be about 4 inches wide, and then we're going to have the cottage, which maybe is another 8 or so inches wide. So we're looking at about there. So I'd say altogether, we're probably looking at under 3 feet by 3 feet with all the buildings combined. So on a 4x4,
quite a bit under 3 feet.
Yeah. So on a 4x4 table, you should have ample space around the exterior for other stuff.
2.5 by 2.5 probably is more realistic, but yeah. Dal, maybe while you're looking questions, let's take a look at the fighting pits. So Kier, if you want to join me over here, we'll take a look at the fighting pits.
Actually, James, we had that question about the walls.
Yep.
So maybe we can quickly answer that. So right now Basically, you have the walls are built up of two parts. There's a wall section, and then the similar to our medieval walls in their last set. So they've got a little battle grip click in there that you fit in and then you snap it down. In terms of sizes right now, we just got a short and a long wall, which two of those equals exactly that. And then we have a curved wall. Maybe let's look over there. So we have a short curved 90-degree wall, and then we have a long curved 90-degree wall, like that. I'm going to add a couple more, and that should sort of make for a more complete set. And then of course the posts, we have ones with only one clip on it, with 2 clips on it, 3 clips and 4 clips on it, so you can build it out however you want. Now, if we get the Something Smells encounter set, there's a whole bunch of more like broken down walls, or walls with trees growing out of them, walls going up hills, stuff like that we're going to add in. So, vote for that if you want it.
Question. When do you start showing off the fighting pits?
Okay, sure, guys. I don't know. We just posted a featurette on the fighting pits today, which we showed off a lot of stuff. But I'll just show it again in case you guys haven't seen it yet. So the fighting pits here, we have about just over a 16-foot. These trees are easy to knock over. Just over a 16-inch diameter to the pits. So there's lots of space in there. You can see how many minis you can fit in. Obviously, you can print it larger if you want it for 32 millimeter or 36 millimeter, whatever you need, or smaller. So the outside ring here, we have basically like 2 inches, 1 inch in the lower, 1 inch in the higher. So you could have like a line of people here and a walkway behind it, or you can have 2 ranks of fans, however you like. You just wanted to make sure there's enough play space in there. Now, as we were saying in the featurette, this one's still like a sort of early beta, and we've decided to make a few changes to it. So we've decided that we're going to enlarge this building and this building by about 20%, and probably these as well. So the overall dimensions are going to stay the same, but these guys are going to grow about 20% each. Just because we felt like once we got in here, it could handle a little bit more play space, just to be a little bit more dynamic on the interior and a little bit more for storytelling, that kind of thing in there. And same back here, these back sections are going to open to reveal different floors in there, but we found that they're not big enough. They need to be a little bit bigger in order to be playable. So that's part of our design process. That shouldn't take too long to enlarge these things. That's part of it. So we also have down here, we have like the gladiators, like there's some sort of guy eating a hand in there. This is sort of like their preparation room before they go out. So there's a door that goes out into the field. There's a little yard here for them to train in and stuff like that. And on the far side, which I don't know if you can get the camera over there, here we have another yard here and some animal pens, which also lead out through a tunnel into the pit in the center. So basically up here is like our judging booth where our judges sit. We kind of have a story that goes along with this for like a game that we would want to play in there, but of course you can use it however you want. But in our idea that this is here is sort of, we call it the coward's nook. It's kind of like a home base area where you're free from being attacked if you're too cowardly. Of course, you're not free from being attacked by the audience, who will hurl everything they can at you. We also have on either side 2 little coward's nooks there and there. Then we have the main entrance here, which is a 2-inch wide entrance for slightly larger based creatures to get through. So all in all, we have 3 entrances that go into the pits. This poor dwarf fell over. And we have 3 little coward nooks in there. At the top of the ramps that lead in, you can see over here, we have a little concession booth thing up at the top there, or a ticket booth, whatever it is for your game. And also at the bottom, down here, we have little betting booths or concessions, however you want to use it. Also, like around the outside areas like this, there's lots of little spots where people who haven't paid tickets can come and try to peek a look into the fighting pits from below, or throw things in or whatever.
Now, there's a question about how high off the board do the roads come?
Yeah.
So do you know that just off by heart, or?
It's a little less than a centimeter, I believe. We're trying to keep them as slim as possible, but still have a. Don't you love this filament? Beautiful. Trying to keep it slim as possible. So let's try and do it in imperial measurements. Yeah, it's about a 1/4 inch. Comes off a 1/4 inch. We're trying to keep it as low as possible, but still have our clip systems that work on that. And that's something that, you know, like with the rivers is a challenge too, because in the rivers we have it dipping down. So, you know, we're trying to come up with creative solutions to make that work really well.
While you're showing that, we have a question about for the roadside walls. Like, what wall options are there? Would you be able to show?
I already answered that one.
You already answered that?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe we move on to showing off the Torbridge.
Yeah. You guys have probably seen the featurette on the Torbridge as well, but we can show it off. Here we go. So this is basically like the 2-level version of it. You can build it without, like basically from here up, or you can add all these bottom sections in to raise the whole thing up another level. And of course on the fortress, that means you get an extra floor down below. With a little pier and a dock down here. So basically, the main piece of a bridge is this. It's the span. It starts here and it goes from here to here. It all fits on a 8-inch bed, so you can print it in one go. And there's supports underneath that you break off afterwards, so it's pretty easy to print. It's got a little walkway underneath that's like, it goes through this way and through this way, so there's a little cross section in there. And then it has like our locking mechanism on there, basically like this, and you can lock any types pieces onto that. So you can expand it. So you want to measure?
Yeah, can we get a measurement of the arches here?
Yeah,
The arches.
5.5.
No, the arches are 5 inches wide.
Oh, wide? Okay, because
Yeah.
someone wanted to know the height.
Oh,
So
yeah,
5.5.
the height is 5.5 if you have this level on. Now, if you say you were to take that level off, so now you could put it like this, and then you'd have a shorter height on there, and that would be about 2.5 inches tall. So basically, these are 3 inches taller. They boost the whole thing up by 3 inches. Now, I was just showing how to clip them together. It's really simple, same as the roads. You just pop them in on a 45-degree angle, put them down, and they're locked into place. And then we just do it on the next one. I guess I can show you through the levels of the bridge too, quickly. Just gonna take these
There's a
guys
question as you're showing that. There's a question
Yeah.
about, can models stand on the slope of the bridge? You might want to speak to that in terms of our
Yeah,
plans
so
for that.
you have to be careful. Top-heavy models might fall down, like lead miniatures. However, I'm trying to design these, and I'm still working on it, these different pieces, so that they'll stand on there better. Yeah, the problem is like really top-heavy lead miniatures, or obviously pewter miniatures, or they're top-heavy. They might need a weight or something on the bottom like that to handle that kind of a slope. But we are trying to put these little like spots on it so the miniatures can catch on. And I'm going to be sort of raising these up a little bit higher.
Because those aren't in there yet, right?
Yeah, they're not in there yet, so they're easy to slide
So
down.
right now it's a water slide, but in the final version there'll
Yeah.
be much more places.
Like
the,
for example, like these,
miniatures
you know,
to
I'll
go.
raise this one up a little bit higher so it catches the minis as well. Yeah, we find that's working pretty well. It just needs to be a bit higher. Now the reason we haven't done more of a regular slope on this is simply because of the length of the pieces. You know, if here we're already looking at about 16 inches to get from this height to here, and if we were to do that at like a 30-degree slope, we'd probably be another 8 inches on top of that, which just starts to get a little bit impossible to manage on a board. So we kind of have to stick with the steeper slope, unfortunately. Yeah, so why don't we just look quickly in here. We have the portcullises, which will open like that. You can actually pull them right out of there. Drop them down. There's one on each side. If you look right through, there's a causeway that goes through this. So basically, this is like a gatehouse for the bridge, guarding the bridge. Now up here is the crank house. So when we build the furniture for the interior of this thing, Up here there's going to be like a crank system which basically pulls chains which pull up and down the portcullises, and that's the function of the top floor of the space, which is also like an attic kind of space. If we go down another level, we've got kind of like, I don't know, this area, there's all hatches and ladders that come up and down between each level. We try to avoid stairs in this situation just because it would require so much more space. So we've got like, a small room up here. It can be like an armorer's room or a little room with a campaign table or something like that for the soldiers to plan out their campaigns however they want. And then you've got a door that goes out to each balcony on either side. Now we go down a level. This one's basically the defensive level, and where there's a road that goes through the center of it. So you can't fit too much in there, except the guards themselves. And now if you want to go down another level, this thing comes right out. And we have the next level down there. I don't know if you see, there's a door that goes underneath the arch on that side right there. And this would be like maybe a sleeping room or something for the guards of the tower. Now, if we want to go down another level, it might seem like it's really hard to get down there, but watch, I'll show you. You basically just lift this guy up a little bit and slide him out like that. And there you go, you have the bottom level, which once again has a ladder that goes up to a hatch on the level above, and a door. We're going to put like a metal grate door on this one, and a little weir out here where you could tie up a rowboat or something like that. And then so basically you can build this bridge as long as you want. Now if we ever get to the Defenders of the Realm encounter set, you're asking about the width. It should be about 3 inches at the base. It's a little bit, tiny bit narrower as you go up, but for the bases it's 3 inches. Yeah, if we get to the Defenders of the Realm encounter set, there's going to be a bunch of kind of additional pieces that come to this thing. So one will be actually like curved pieces, so you could actually build the bridge on a I don't know what to say, like on a curve going across the bridge. Another one will be like intersection pieces, so you could actually build like it into a sort of like elevated town kind of thing. Another one we want to build is like a bastion on one end, sort of defended end on one, kind of miniature castle on the end on one side, where you don't go up straight, but you kind of, I don't know if you know like Helm's Deep in Lord of the Rings, where you have to kind of come up on weird angles to get up the fortress. So something like that kind of idea, where it's not too easy for an attacker to get in. We also want to do like a kind of, instead of a ramp, like a sort of stair system on an optional stair system on one end, where you can like kind of go up on a couple different angles to get up to the top. Maybe even a stair that attaches to the side here. So a version of it that has like an exterior stair, if you had an island down here or something like that. So you'd have a stair that goes down to the island. I'd like to do a version like that, and we've got a bunch of other ideas as well.
And obviously we've got the ruined one.
Yes, and we've already unlocked the ruined one, so you're going to get ruined versions, thank you, Kier, ruined versions of the spans, and of course a full ruined tower as well. Yeah. Oh, another thing we want to do is these guys. This is also in that expansion set in Defenders of the Realm. These guys, we want to do a version where they're not part of the model, but they can be added on, and then we can have a couple different versions of these, like maybe lanterns or torches or statues, different things like that that you can fit in however you like. Yeah, James, any other questions?
I've been answering a few of them. Someone's asking if a wagon would fit through the Tor gatehouse. Was saying that the Tor gate is 2 inches wide, the causeway is 3 inches wide. So
Yeah.
any what is that?
And how high?
How high? Is that
Yeah.
a question for how high? Let's look at that.
It's 2 1/4 inches high. I don't know if you got the portcullis when it opens total is 2 1/4 inches high. Any other questions, James?
Just checking.
Okay. Well, we have some.
People say yes to Defenders of the Realm. So that's good. This is Benjamin Walters asking if we might make the roads without the earthen embankments so that they can be embedded in foam. That hasn't been planned so far, but it's something we can look at the feasibility of as a variable in the model set. But currently, no. This is how they come. Unless Valerie had something to add to that.
It's optional. Of course, if we did that, we wouldn't be able to fit the clips in, because the only reason that the banks are there is to give this thing enough height that we can fit our clip system in here. Our clip system's pretty sleek, as sleek as we can get it, basically. But if we were to do it without that, we would basically have to not have the embankments or the clips in there. So we'll talk about it.
Standalone ladders would be great for making scaling areas. We have some standalone ladders in Whitewood Abbey. We might include a couple of extra ones for this set. Okay, so I mean, here it is, folks. Just trying to. Is there any other questions coming in? We sort of seem to have answered most of the questions that have come in already.
Do you have any questions about the stretch goals or anything like that we can talk about? Any of the concept art, that kind of a thing? We can answer your questions about that. I've got some printouts of the artwork here, so I could go over it with anybody who wants to ask. Now, all the stretch goal art's just conceptual right now. Like when I actually get down to designing it, things might change, things might get bigger, they might get smaller, they might get completely rearranged depending on some sort of inspiration. But this should give you a general idea of what we're doing for each piece.
What is your process going from the drawing stage, the concept art, to actually getting the model printed and on the table?
Yeah, so basically, we come up with the idea for the model. For us, it's important to always fit it into our story and our lore, which I know not everyone's going to use our lore, but we like it to be comprehensive, so we try to fit everything into that. So, the style, the world, the types of materials that they build out of, everything like that, we're going to try to fit into a comprehensive whole of Torbridge Cull, which is a little bit different from Whitewood Abbey, although they're in the same region. Whitewood Abbey is only a day and a half away by walking from Torbridge Cull. Sorry, maybe it's a full day walk, right, away from it. So, like the materials are generally the same, but Torbridge Cull's got a long history of having stone mines and lumber industry and stuff like that. So they build a lot out of stone. Actually, we have in the history that there was another people that built the bridge and built the original inn. So actually, that's why some of the stonework and stuff like that on those are different from the later stonework, which is a little bit more rudimentary. They were not as good masons these days, or stone masons as they used to be. So we think very comprehensively about the artwork and the materials used and things like. Also, they build with slate here. Once in a while they build with wood, but we're trying to keep everything in this set mostly to slate. So basically after that, then I basically sit down on my computer and I do up some drawings for a building I want. I'm always thinking about how it can be played on the outside and on the inside. That's really important because tabletop gamers might not be so interested in the inside, but certain other players might be really interested in the inside. So we always want there to be lots of nooks and crannies, places for people to hide, and places for people to get up on the outside where they can, be a sniper or whatever they're going to do up there. Now, like the insides, we designed these to be a bit of a maze. So, we have, stairs like that you come up on. Sorry, this isn't put together properly, but, you can come up on the stairs in this building and then cross over into this building and then come up here and then go up these stairs to the next level, or you can go out here and down these stairs back onto the ground level. And we really want it to be a bit of a maze. So if you ever brought your players in here for the first time, they really wouldn't know their way around. They'd get confused. And it's a bit of a discovery trying to get there. And also, you can get from one building to another from multiple different levels and stuff like that. We actually have a little bridge model that attaches on here. It's not in here right now, but it goes from this doorway to this doorway and connects all together.
No, it's a slightly unrelated question, but some questions about your modeling, like what programs you use, and that. Would you think you'd be able to speak to that for a second?
Yeah, sure. I model everything in ZBrush. It's a pretty amazing program. I completely max out its capabilities doing this stuff because this sheer poly counts I reach with these big models is insane. I often have to break them up into many multiple files in order to work on it. As I build, I collect all my assets so I can use them again on further models and sort of like speed up the process. I basically all my textures, my brickwork, everything like that I build from scratch. Like I build all the stones in ZBrush, I sculpt them all, I make a little collection of those, then I use those to pile to build a wall. From that I'll make a texture which I can then reuse on different areas, or I can go back to the original and make changes to it. So I try to do everything very procedurally and very comprehensively so that I have like a nice collection that I can reuse for different things. And by doing that, it helps me avoid issues of scale. Like maybe some people just project a texture onto a wall, but you might project at this scale on that wall or a different scale on another wall, which becomes an issue. So I'm trying to build ways that I can keep consistent like throughout all my models about that kind of a thing as best I can. I'm not trying to be too pedantic about it or anything like that. Like at the end of the day, it's just how the model looks that matters the most, and how it functions for gameplay. That also matters. But obviously, aesthetics is a big thing for us.
Did you get a chance to show the low hedges in close up? We have some people asking about taking a better look at the hedges.
Yeah, I mean the hedges are pretty simple. Nothing complicated. I'm not modeling every leaf. I'm trying to keep the leaves from being ridiculously overscaled like you see in some models, which is nice in a way, but it's also a bit too cartoony. So when you look at it from a distance, it doesn't really make sense. So we're building these. I'm going to build a few like curved ones and stuff like that. And actually, you can't even see it, but I actually have like the way they traditionally make hedgerows is with a sort of picket fence, like of vines tied inside. I actually have that inside. So at certain parts of the final models, I'll be exposing that so you can sort of see the under layer of how it's built inside.
Will it be possible to build a whole town?
I mean, that's where you guys come in.
That's the point of the Kickstarter.
That's the point of the Kickstarter.
Yeah.
We want to build a whole town. So, we've unlocked a lot of stuff already. We're actually currently trying to unlock the 3 townhouses. We've got the mill coming down the line, and in some of the other encounter sets you're going to see soon, there's more town stuff. So that's our idea, is to build this whole town, as well as some sort of like outlying areas, like in like some of the stretch goals we didn't reach, like Fields of the Fallen and Old Gods. They're just outside the town, nearby but not in the town. Something Smells kind of brings in like the suburban farm areas of the town, that kind of thing.
There's a question about the Tor asking if the gate can be mortised. I'm not quite sure. Do you guys know what that question might be about?
Mortised.
Mortised.
I know what a mortise is, but I'm not exactly sure what you mean by the question.
Yeah. Okay. I just thought I'd throw it out there. I think we're all stumped by your question.
If you want to elaborate more on it, we'll totally answer it.
Yeah. Any questions about the? Oh, you're over there.
Motorized.
Yeah, to get back to the design level, sorry.
It was not mortised, it was motorized.
Motorized. Oh. I don't know how we would motorize it. Maybe you have some cool idea. You can
I think
send it to us
that's user end craftability there.
Maybe by motorized you mean like kind of mechanical, like on a winch or something like that.
That's possible.
Well, it's theoretically possible,
yeah.
But we have to make it so it actually works in 3D prints and stuff like that. So I'll keep exploring that idea. Yeah, I mean it's possible. Not with 3D printed chains, but like if you put in a real chain, like a bracelet chain or something like that, you could attach those to the top of the portcullises and then pull them, and they might come up. So maybe you're asking about the crank and the crank house. If that could be created in a way that might work with that. To be honest, I'm not sure. It would take a lot of experimenting, and I don't want to spend too much time on just one thing like that and take away from other models we should be building. See, I think I had some more questions here. But yeah, back to designing. So basically, I do a drawing, and then from there I just jump right into ZBrush. I build myself a proxy model, and I sort of lay out how things are going to be. Sometimes we print out a proxy model, sometimes not. You know, we want to make sure that the rooms fit the miniatures and stuff like that. Doors are wide enough to fit a miniature base through. And then I'll just start texturizing it. So I'll pull out all those textures I was talking about earlier that I've been creating. If I need to, I'll take a step back and make a new texture. If not, I'll use what I have and keep creating out of that until I have a piece. You know, when I get to a happy place, I'll print an alpha version of it. We'll put it on the table. Me and James will sit down and discuss it. Say, hey, what should we change? Does this need more space for a miniature to get through? Doesn't it? Are these walls too weak? Is this too fat? Whatever. Then we'll take it from there, and then I'll make those changes. We'll come up with another version, and then we'll send those out to our beta testers, and and then once we're comfy that it prints pretty well on a majority of printers, then we'll release it to you guys.
I've lost the ability to type answers. Here, if you want to turn it towards me for just one
Sure.
second. Oh my! They can't see
turn
me.
the other.
Just
You want to grab it? You can grab
yeah. All right. You want to film me then? I was just going to answer a couple questions that came up here. I can't type for some reason anymore on the computer. It's not taking the input. So there's a question here about is there going to be a part 2 to this in a later Kickstarter? Well, no. We probably, as the sort of, I'm going to answer 2 questions with one, because it says, would be cool to see other regions in the world in future Kickstarters. So that's exactly what we plan to do. We moved from Whitewood Abbey to Torbridge Cull, and then we'll move on from Torbridge Cull to a new region. There's a chance that some of the stuff, if we don't get to unlock it all in this Kickstarter, we might reimagine it, revamp it, and put it in a later Kickstarter. We sort of did that with the brewery. The brewery was a very popular item in the Whitewood Abbey campaign that we never got to, and we have a brewery in Torbridge Cull. So you might see some stuff in a later Kickstarter down the road, but this is your chance to unlock Torbridge Cull. Once we unlock these stretch goals and get as far as we can, we're gonna move on. So I hope that answers your question. Just looking here.
A question about LED lights. Another one about what kind of printers we have.
Printers, we like to print the way most of our users print. We print on Ender 3s. It's one of the things we wanted to do from the beginning is see exactly how our models printed on what most people are printing on at home. So we print on Ender 3s, and if we can't get a really good result on an Ender 3 with a standard Cura profile, we keep refining the model until we do. So that's what we print on. LEDs, we've talked about it in the past in terms of making access ports for LEDs. It's not something that's really on the table right now, but if we continue to get requests for that, it's something we could definitely look into.
Another question, is this your full-time job, or are you all collectively pursuing this on your free time?
It takes a lot of time for both of us. So I guess you could say we put in full-time hours, most definitely.
Yeah. How long after the campaign completion do you envisage releasing the first sets?
So
we won't hold it to you, just getting excited to get started.
Yeah, for sure. I think Dow mentioned earlier on, we plan to finish up modeling the core set buildings around March. So you should start to see those, notice arriving for those available to download in March of 2021. As soon as the core set buildings are done, we'll be moving on to the stretch goals and then releasing them as soon as they are done. So it's a trickle out effect. As soon as a model is done, you'll have access to it, and we'll continue on until they're all finished.
Another question: how many Ender 3s do we have? I mean, yeah, we have 3 Ender 3s. Yeah. Often, not all 3 are working at any one time, but
yeah, we have 3 Ender 3s. We do have an ancient Prusa Mark I, which we use to speed print our alpha tests, because the thing just is a maniac. It prints like 4 times faster than any of our other printers. But other than that, yeah, we have 3 Ender 3s that we print on.
Yeah, and we used to have an ANET as well, but that guy's been retired.
Yeah.
Actually, we had 2 ANETs. They both are retired now.
We name all our printers. We had an ANET named Voltron, and we had an ANET named Ember.
But no, Eowyn.
Eowyn, that's right. Yeah. Eowyn was the ANET.
Yeah.
She's out of service. We cannibalized her to help Voltron.
And then he's out of service. Yeah.
So.
But we are thinking of, obviously we're going to have to get some new 3D printers as we go forward. So we'll let you know what we get.
We have,
oh yeah, question about the embankments. I can show you about the embankments. Sure. How am I going to show you? Actually, I can't show you. But basically, let me come over here. Basically, the embankments are going to work with the same clip system as the roads, and what they're going to have is on one side like a slope going up. Obviously we can't build them so that they dig into the table. They have to sit on a table. So it's going to have a slope that goes up on one side, and that's more of a grassy slope. So there'll be things like rocks and maybe trees, maybe some bushes, something like that. If I can model them in a way it looks good on one side, and then on the other side there'll be sort of a variety of different coastlines. So anything from like a steep little riverbank to like sort of maybe on a corner. Say we have a curve of the river there. You might have a piece that kind of goes out like this, with some river stones and stuff like that on it. The idea basically is that you're going to get straight pieces, curved pieces, peninsula type pieces, and you can snap them all together to build yourself a really long riverbank. You could do it to make an entire like lake, or you can do it, if you only have say a town and you have a river, but you don't need the whole river on your table, you can just build that one bank of the river. Now what you do in the water is up to you. If you wanted to use this to make a permanent feature, you could pour resin into that area, like between river banks, something like that, or you can put a mat down underneath it. However you want to do it like that, that's kind of up to you. But our idea with that is to make something that's really versatile, easy to use, and interesting. Like you can make really interesting coastlines, and by doing that, it allows someone to make a river as wide as they want. You can make it, our river pieces are only going to be about this wide, but with this you can make a river that's this wide, or a river that's much bigger than the table, a lake, a pond, that kind of thing. Is there another question, Gene?
Yeah, got a couple questions here. Okay, you answered the one about the embankment and the docks. What is the anticipated footprint size for the graveyard? That's a good question. I think we have to really get into the modeling before we can answer that.
Yeah, I don't have a great idea yet. I mean, I think the graveyard's going to be more of a modular kit. So you're going to have a set of modular walls that you can build any size you want. You're going to have a set of sort of like these. You're going to have various like kind of piles with stones on them, like some small, some big, some longer, that are a little bit like different looking each one. So that allows you to sort of like set them up however you want. Like maybe if you come over here and you see, this is like the model from our burial ground in the original one. You have a various types of pieces, and you can just sort of lay it out however you want. Now with this one, I want it to be a bit more like maybe each piece of the cemetery will be more like this size kind of thing. Now it's not going to have trees and stuff like that because it's going to be a bit more modern, but it might have a few little trees, but it'll be like a mound with a bunch of stones on it. And I want it to be I want to stay generally away from like a Gothic look, but I think with the cemetery we'll go a little bit in that direction. This is an old cemetery. The stones aren't all in neat little rows or straight. They've over time they've tipped over and the ground's undulated underneath them. Tree roots have pushed them over and stuff like that. So everything's going to be a little bit helter-skelter in there. And then the mausoleum will be like a sort of central piece, and you can put it wherever you want. You could even print a couple of them.
Okay. I think that's pretty much it for questions. Is there anyone else out there who has a particular question they'd like to get in before we wrap it up? Any questions about the stretch goals or something again about modeling or the campaign in general? See if there's any other questions out there before we call this quits. Painting. What would you like to know about painting, Robert? Yeah, you can film me. Yeah, thanks, Ade, for appreciating us taking the time. Any last questions? I'm just checking here. No, I'm not getting any more questions.
So can you?
How long? Sorry, Robert came in. How long did it take to paint it? Well, Let's look at the main inn there. The main building of the inn is the one that's most completely painted. I would say in total time of painting the interior and the exterior of the inn, probably about 40 hours maybe, 50 hours.
And actually, our cameraman here, Kier, helped paint this. Well, he pretty much painted the bridge by himself, and I don't know how long did that take you, Kier?
I would probably say the entire Torbridge took me about 20 hours, 22 hours perhaps.
Yeah.
And I think there's many techniques you can use to speed up the process. If you've got a hold of an airbrush, that can cut off a bit of time. Yeah, there's many tutorials on terrain painting online on YouTube.
Yeah, we've actually got a few up on our main website on infinitedimensions.ca by Live in Miniatures. He's an amazing painter and he's extremely quick. I really recommend taking a look at that. Like, he's done some incredible stuff with our models, and you know, the speed that he does it at is kind of mind-boggling to us. So, you know, we're not big airbrush users yet, and he is, and what he can pull off on that is just amazing. You know, a lot of weathering, you know, like inks and weathering powders and stuff like that. Some of which we've used on these as well, which really brings the stonework to life. We find, like, you know, I don't know if you can see why don't you show them on the bridge here, like, you know, just coming in here and putting like these weathering powders along the insides and stuff like that it's really fast to do, and it really brings stuff to life, and I can't recommend it enough. You know, there's different types you can get, and it really helps bring things together. You know, like if you want to blend sort of between like your game mat and your board and stuff like that, weathering powders are a really good way to do that.
Okay, I think that probably wraps it up.
Okay.
You guys want to just get in and say bye?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, well, thank you so much for tuning in for this, and for all of you who see it later. Hope you enjoy it, and if we need to, we'll do another one before the end of the campaign. Anything else you need to say?
No, I mean, a few questions are firing in there. We'll get any questions we haven't answered in the video. We'll type out an answer afterwards. And yeah, like thank you so much for being a part of Torbridge Cull, for helping us bring this to life, so to speak. We're looking forward to the next 2 weeks to see where this can go.
Actually, there was a question earlier on about how do we feel about how the campaign's going so far, and I think the answer to that is we feel amazing. Like, we feel great about how it's going so far. It's, you know, we spend a lot of time working in the dark before we show anything to anybody, and it's, you know, from an artistic point of view, you know, you start to wonder if you're going crazy, if anybody wants this kind of thing.
He's going crazy.
And I'm on a steady progression of that. But you know, when you release it and you see people appreciating it, you see people backing it, it's a great feeling. And I can really feel all the enthusiasm we're back.
We purposely keep Dawa in a small 3x3 room with no windows and just one little light bulb above his head. We don't allow him phone calls. We don't allow him any outside contact until he's finished the model.
It really gives me perspective about how the people feel about my work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just yell abuse at him so that he works better and harder.
Yeah.
It's our way of getting you things like this.
Yeah.
Help. Call the police.
No.
I guess.
Yeah. No. So we feel really great about how it is, and to be honest, we're just over a week in. We're like 10 days in now, a week and a half in, and we're really happy with where it is, and we've seen like a real steady growth through like what is often a plateau area for Kickstarters in the middle. We've seen a pretty steady growth, and we're really happy about that. And you know, we're breaking new stretch goals every day or two, sometimes multiple ones in a day. And you know, we think that we've got another 13 days left. I think we're going to be really well positioned for the last few days when usually a lot of people jump back in. So, you know, we hope to break a lot more stretch goals, get a bunch more encounter sets, and
make it all
see how
more
it goes.
worthwhile.
And then it's back to work.
Yeah.
Yep.
So thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Take care. Bye-bye.